AITA for telling my brother everyone dislikes the woman he's about to propose to. Bro is planning to propose in 3 weeks, but in the last year, he's managed to ruin his relationship with our mother, myself, all of his closest friends. These are all because of her. Whether it's her telling him he's entitled to money, telling him he cannot go to friend events because of things she needs / wants to do that often don't involve him, and even completely changing his belief system and ability to handle stressful situations. He crashes out every time something happens that does not go directly to his idea of a plan, insults and behaves poorly to everyone involved, never apologizes and stops talking to people altogether for relatively little things. His friends have all come to me to ask what's going on and why is he acting like this? Why has he changed? As well as to vent and make me aware of their experiences, with him acting in similar ways and sharing similar concerns about how his partner affects him. She's always been very rude and makes it clear she doesn't like me. Good God.
Who would have guessed that?
Has completely turned him against our mother to the point that my brother won't even communicate with our mom. It's tearing her life apart. She can't sleep. It's affecting her work and relationship, all because he won't talk to her after she bought a house, after never having one, instead of paying for his college. We grew up poor, so where the sense of entitlement comes from is a mystery, probably his partner. My father and stepmother are completely on his side and would pretty much do anything to defend both my brother and his partner, which makes me feel like I'm the mediator of 3 different parties. Mother, friends, dad / stepmom trying to mitigate and have answers for heartbreak, concern, and overprotection. I know I need to talk to him, but I'm not sure how to approach one. Nevertheless, all issues with him, freaking out and cutting me off as well. Despite not liking his girlfriend / future fiance, and despite severely disapproving of what I feel to be childlike and disrespectful behavior, I do love him. I do.
It really sounds this way.
As he's my brother and we've always been close. I know even with carefully crafting a calm argument, doing everything I can to avoid sounding like I'm insulting or accusing either of them, he will still more than likely hate me and start freaking. AITA for wanting to show up at his door and force him to talk about this with me. AITA for feeling like it's my responsibility to essentially bomb drop how everyone in his life is concerned and heartbroken about his behavior, and primarily blames it on his girlfriend and the way she sheltered and changed him. He's proposing in 3 weeks and almost everyone in my life who loves and cares for him has known him for significant amounts of time disapprove of her and his behavior, but am I supposed to be the messenger for all of it right before he proposes?
Yes.
This is a good one. These are usually, sometimes you're like, yeah, I know who's fucking up right away. And then you're like, oh man. Because the onus is definitely to be like, yeah, you want to tell your family member when something's this fucked up. But then you know, because of the way human minds work.
Yeah.
He's just going to turn on you and galvanize his relationship with his awful bitch. That's the only outcome that could ever happen.
It's possible she's awful. I'm leaning that she is. I did really, my ears did perk up at the what's he mad about? She bought a house after never having one instead of paying for his college.
The mom
bought a house. We don't have any of the ages or anything. Let's see if OP left any comments. But I'm like, did the sister who's writing get her college paid for?
Oh, is it a sister?
Is it a double standard?
Do we know it's a sister?
I don't know. I might have just invested.
They almost
Sibling?
wrote it in a way that's like, well, everyone else did, except but he.
I don't think
know.
so. I don't know. I feel like
The part where like
also is the brother older.
the
Sorry.
the significant other makes it known that she doesn't like family members is one of the craziest things to me, because I'm like, every time I've not liked somebody else in my wife's family or something, I'm like, if you saw us interact, you'd think we're best friends.
Of course.
Oh, it's his favorite guy. But you're like, "Oh, fuck it."
Yeah.
That's what you have to do. It's not even what you're like the right thing to do. It's the only move.
Do you feel like you've gotten through with some time? I mean, I had that issue and I was really frustrated because after years of being like, hi, thank you, I love you. I was like, can you give me a little bit of energy back? Like, I'm tired.
Sure.
Do you feel like you've made like progress, or are you just, there's just some people it's not going to happen?
I mean, we see people less or whatever, so it's not
we slowly fade
That's
them away.
boundaries.
Yeah. But that's like weirdly, that seems in this society more appropriate thing to do than to be like, it's you. It's we don't like seeing you and interacting with you.
It definitely sounds like the significant other is not great, because I think even if it was all on him, first of all, I think he needs to this sibling needs to realize that it's not the girlfriend's fault. It's the brother needs to take charge of his own life if he's allowing himself. And I get that like manipulation is real. Maybe he's pussy whipped. I don't know. Like it's
That's
totally
a form of
possible.
manipulation.
It is. It absolutely is. Has he ever had a girlfriend before? Like, what is this guy's past
that's a good
stuff?
question.
Like, all of this shit could lead to him feeling super attached to this woman who's probably giving him all this attention. But also, if she was great, she wouldn't be like, fucking never talk to your mom again. Like, I would, like, I'm the opposite. I'm like, you really should, like, try to repair things with your mom. And they're like, she left me for 20 years. I'm like, but you should really try.
Yeah, for 20 years. Good Lord. Yeah, I mean, I think it's a fair read to say, like, this brother, I mean, they were raised poor, she says, so there might be some scarcity issues. Like, I don't know what's going on with that. Maybe some double standards coming in. She's not really getting, I'm talking about the girlfriend. The girlfriend's not really understanding the situation. She's like, parents are supposed to pay for college. And it's like, well, honey, you don't know. If they don't own the house, that might be priority. Yeah. I think the question here is, and it's not, I don't know if we're going to have the answer, but it's like, when your friend is getting, like, from my point of view, if my friend, it depends on how we're involved, but if there's someone I really care about, then I'm gonna like be on it a little bit. If I think they're getting involved with someone toxic, I'm gonna give them some reality.
I'm not secretly, but I kind of almost enjoy, because, you know, people don't do that to each other. They're like, I won't tell you the truth. And I'm like, here's the only thing I'm good at.
Yeah.
But will you give it across the board? Like,
I should have a softer touch. That's what I've learned.
Yeah.
But honestly, I go, here's what this guy thinks, this person and this. And what, they'll never tell it to you because they're cowards, but I will.
and you'll do it.
And almost 99% of the time, in the moment, people have been like, this is the worst possible experience. I hate you. You're a psychopath. And only 10% of the time afterwards, they go, you know, you're right or something. Yeah. But a lot of the time, they'll tell other people. They're like, that guy was right, but the relationship is over. It doesn't matter how much you did the right thing, whatever, it's done.
Yeah.
It's part of our social construct.
So you're saying the truth worked against you?
Every time, basically.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's also that I have a friend and she says things about people that she literally knows people more than they know themselves or care to admit about themselves. And she'll do the same thing where she's like, you're doing this thing or blah, blah, blah. And she calls it out. Yeah. And then people don't like her because it's like shit that people are choosing not to address and not to
but she's nailing it.
She's nailing it. 95 out of 100% of
we got to get her on.
Me too.
She to come on the pod?
Yeah, I'll get her on.
A genius political expert would do that, but send a different person to give the bad message every time.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no,
perpetuating
she's the same person.
Yeah,
she's done it with me, and I've had to be like, oh shit, you're right. Like, but I'm receptive to self growth and like. She says it in a way that I'm like, you're not wrong. I could let my ego get in the way right now and like fight this, but you're actually pretty on fucking point.
I think it's really tough. I think I will defend the shallow relationship. There's people that I like and I want them to be what I call like a buddy, you know, and a buddy is usually kind of an interest. It's interest based. Yeah. Right. So eventually a buddy could become a friend. And that to me is more meaningful where I would expect and actually care about them, you know, and challenge them. To me, that's love, right? Love is willing to challenge someone and say like, hey, I'm concerned that you're doing this unhealthy thing. Whereas, you know, if you're cocaine buddies, you're both doing cocaine. Yeah. So you don't care about each other. You're never going to
worry about
you draw the line.
Right? Yeah, there we go. But like, I don't know. I do think it can be a little, and I'm very much like you, Roddy. Like I like to be honest and transparent, but life has taught me like there's just a lot of people that are not going to be receptive. And there's a lot of people that I'm like, yeah, you're all kinds of fucked up and you have issues and I don't approve of what you're doing. But I'm not going to confront you because you're not my problem. And I'm happy to have a shallow interaction with you. It might be fun. It might be a fun, shallow interaction.
I do think it's very much, these are relative to what society you're based in. I think there's something about like American / some Western Europeans, whatever, like everything in our language is about like making things softer. nobody dies, they passed away, or they went on to
They were unalive.
Exactly. Yeah, stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like, so I think that's the same thing where people are like, you're allowed to tell anyone anything but the harshest, realist truth.
Yeah.
You can go all the way around the different parts of the onion and whatever, and then that's fine. Or send a different thing, send an emissary, sure. But once you just confront, you're like, hey, I know this, and everyone knows this. That makes the person have to confront their delusion, and they hate that. And I hate it when someone does it to me. Like a what? Everyone knows I'm dressed like Mao right now, or whatever.
Yeah. Well, you hate hearing the honest truth.
In the moment,
Of course.
yeah.
Well,
yeah.
everybody
It hurts.
does.
It's
you
about
have to see it
your-
for yourself.
It's the distance between when you hate it and when you can accept it that's where the growth
Yeah.
happens.
There's certain comments that'll stick with me. Shout out to listener Rachel, who said, she said, you're not graceful. You're not giving people enough grace on the pod. And it fucking bothered me. I was like mad about it.
Just
But-
gracelessly mad.
Yeah, I was like,
not
you
wrong, Rachel."
fucking ingrate, how much effort I put. No, but it stuck with me, and I know it stuck with me because I knew that there was some truth to it. So I had to dig deep. But yeah, I don't know. I guess like I do think in this case, and what always happens with family is like they're your family.
Well, that's what I was
family.
gonna say is that with what you were saying is like, yeah, we can choose our friends, how much because I do have friends where I'm like, I can spend 1 hour a month with you.
I love that.
That's my
I
max,
love that.
based on
Damn.
certain stories that
I
I've shared
totally
and
know what
stuff.
you're talking
I'm just
about.
like, and that's what I
Yes.
need to know about our relationship. But when
Yes.
you're in a family situation, this is much more difficult, especially if it's like you're gonna lose your brother or you're welcoming him in, and then you deal with this other shitty person, and it's just like
Ugh.
so much more complicated.
But then like sometimes there's, what are they called? Nibblings involved.
yeah, nibbling.
What's a
and then you
nibbling?
gotta
A
save the
nibbling is like
nibblings.
it's a collective term for nephew and niece. Isn't that fun?
Yeah.
That's nice.
Yeah, isn't that cute?
nibblings.
So then you're like, oh my God, I'm going to lose access to the nibblings. And so there's this horrible political aspect where sometimes if people are involved in a toxic relationship, how much are you going to call it? Because then you might lose the nibs.
Yeah.
Yep.
Fuck. I mean, I honestly do think like we could call the sister the asshole here, but I think this is just kind of are you willing to have a shallow relationship or no relationship?
She also says like he's ruined the relationship with everyone around him, basically, like the mother, close friends, whatever. So in her mind, this is a time bomb. It's like either intercept here and have some chance of saving things, or like it's all going to go bad anyway.
Yeah. I think she should do the long con, which is continue to be in his life, try to tape the moments where like the significant other, like start gathering some evidence, OP. Start like
it's hard.
Hard evidence.
That's
that
hard
you-
work. You know, it's
It's
fun.
hard work, but it's like sometimes that's the only time people see shit is if you literally I was in a toxic relationship, and the moment I knew it was 100% that clicked in my head was I was like crying over something, and then I went to go write in my journal, and I opened my journal to a year prior, and I was writing the same shit.
I had to do
and when
that,
I
too.
saw that 1 year prior talking about the same shit, I was like, nothing's gonna fucking change.
I had to do
You
that
gotta
too.
see it.
You got to start writing them down because then
Yeah.
you're like, oh no. Oh
Then that's
no.
you telling yourself the hard truth that you're like, oh.
I personally, my taste. I don't want to dictate. This is my Grace speaking. I don't want to dictate that this is the right thing to do, but I do believe to err on the side of honesty and truth. I think you
Yeah.
could be gentle with it, and I think you could say, "I know you like her, and I'm sure she has redeeming traits, and I guess that those tits
Dude.
are great." But like try to meet him in the middle a little bit and be like, "There are some redeeming traits. I don't know what they are based on this read, but like."
I feel like if you could write a course on how to do that, you'd be a gajillionaire. If you're like, yeah, so you have to say a bad thing, but start with 2 good things or whatever. Just
I
like,
think someone did that already.
is it a thing?
Well, it's a sandwich
I think
method. You
so,
never heard of the
yeah.
sandwich method?
I hate
How to
no.
give feedback.
I have heard it. The po' boy method.
Yeah.
Babu is
Yeah.
open face only.
Open face only. He's like meat
Straight truth.
and on some bread.
Oh, the double tartine method.
Yeah, he's sashimi method, just pure meat. Yeah, I guess I would say like that's my personal thing because I do feel like honestly one of the ways that you wake people up is I like evidence. Evidence is good, but I do feel like consequences. Like eventually, like it's like your sister literally stopped talking to you. Like if you don't feel that, I don't know what to tell you. But it's tough because then there's no one to do.
Yeah, I think that,
He's
it's
right.
always worth expressing. I don't think that OP would be an asshole for talking to their sibling. Like that should be allowed, and that should be like, but it shouldn't be like she's so shitty. It should be like, hey, are you like, check in on your sibling?
Yeah.
Open up that conversation. Don't make it about the significant other.
Yes.
Yeah, that's good. I like that.
I also like when people tell you in the body of the text, when they're like, hey, if I do this in this way, does that make me? You're like, no, you're not the asshole. That's how I feel sometimes.
You're already thinking about it.
If I'm worried about the proposal, you're considerate. You're doing the considering. Mm-hmm. Some of these are written out like, so if I threw my wrench at my dumb ass, like, yeah, you're the asshole.
Right. Well, if I threw the wrench kind of with a little hook on it, I
told him I'm tossing
underhand,
it.
Underhand wrench toss.
You smack your gum one more time, I'm tossing that thing.
Top comment, NAH. I understand what you're saying, OP, because I feel like I could have written a similar post. Ultimately, I think it's important to reframe your convo, talk about facts, and approach with questioning to better understand his perspective. That's what Carla said. YTA, Lizzie writes, the way she changed him, I think the way you're framing your brother like he has no control of his own life is ridiculous. He's an adult capable of making his own choices.
Harsh, but not wrong.
It's true.
I don't believe that adults are capable of. I do believe adults legally are obligated to make their own choices, but capacity is another thing entirely.
That is very true. I agree with that.
Well, I mean, I thought you gave some good circumstantial reasons why someone. I mean, there's a million reasons why you fall into a relationship with someone who's toxic, and they one of the strategies that tends to play out is they will isolate you or sort of turn you against other people, and all of a sudden you're alone, and so you're just kind of theirs, you know. They bring you into the cult, so to speak. I think it's easy to say that. Like, obviously, everyone who's in a cult is a victim, but at the same time, they're all responsible adults. But it's like I ultimately think that.
I think that like anything dopamogenic, anything that makes you feel good should come with the please drink responsibly, please gamble responsibly thing. And we don't do that with people. We don't do that with dating at all.
I want to get a tattoo that says that. please Danny responsibly.
Please, yeah. Because with people you go, oh yeah, we can trust people. They're all good. You're like,
no, absolutely
this is poison made in a factory.
Yeah.
My friend dropped a great term because I feel like we've gotten caught in like narcissism is like so played out now. And then there's like emotional vampire.
Yeah.
And he dropped this one on me and I just love it. Extractor.
Sure. Oh, that's
I
great.
just feel like that kind of, it feels more neutral to me where it's just like, yeah, I feel like you extracted something from me.
Interesting.
Doesn't feel so like othering and me. It's just like you extracted.
It's not transactional because that implies a degree of two-way, whatever. It's like you just took a thing.
You just took from me.
I have a friend that said something one time, and I haven't said it in a long time, but they will always say, yeah, you're not inspiring. You're uninspiring.
I love that.
Or like when they have to make a decision and they're like, oh, should I do this or that? They would be like, this isn't inspired. Like anytime they like get a job that they're like, oh, I really don't want to do this. I'm not gonna do it. I'm not inspired. And I'm like, I like that. It feels a little rude to people, but it's also like
pretty soft.
When you're on the dating game too and you're like texting and it's like, and you're just like, this is literally so uninspiring. Like, what are we talking about here?
That's so funny. I'm like, I'm never going to use horniness again. Be like, I'm sexually inspired.
There you go. Let's go.
I like that.
I have a type of motivation I can't describe.
Thanks for listening, guys. We hope you find the pod inspiring, and I hope you don't find me to be an extractor. I literally like suck.
Like a sucky bit.
Yeah, I lick your salt off your skin.